The morning they left for the south was quiet, heavy with grey clouds and the smell of wet earth. The rain had stopped, but puddles still shimmered along the narrow road. He carried a small bag over his shoulder, just a few clothes, some dried food, and a heart full of worry. Huyen stood by the wooden gate, her hands twisting the edge of her old scarf. "It's just a short trip, right?" she asked softly, trying to sound calm. Dee smiled, though his eyes were tired. "Only a few days. I'll bring the motorbike back before the weekend." He checked the fence one last time, fixed the latch on the door, and poured water into the bowl for Bibi, the old dog who wagged his tail lazily. Everything about him spoke of quiet care, the kind that came not from duty, but from love. Huyen watched him walk down the dirt path, his figure growing smaller between the bamboo trees. She didn't know why her chest ached. Perhaps it was the silence, or the strange feeling that something unseen was waiting beyond the road. The wind brushed through the garden, making the guava leaves tremble. The house behind her felt suddenly too empty, too still. She turned to go inside, telling herself to focus on work, to stop worrying. But just as she stepped inside, she noticed something strange, muddy footprints near the side wall, small but fresh. Someone had been there recently. Huyen frowned, brushing her hands nervously against her apron. "Maybe a neighbor," she murmured, trying to calm herself. Yet deep down, a chill ran through her, a quiet whisper of fear she couldn't explain. Far away, Dee sat on the crowded bus heading south. The landscape rolled by fields, rivers, and endless sky. He leaned against the window, thinking of Huyen and Maya, unaware that back home a shadow had already begun to move toward the house he had just left behind. That afternoon, the sky turned the color of smoke. Huyen was in the kitchen, washing rice for dinner when she heard footsteps outside, slow, deliberate, dragging slightly as if the person was unfamiliar with the path. Bibi lifted his head and gave a low growl. Before Huyen could react, a voice came from the gate. "Excuse me, is this Mrs. Huyen's house?" She hesitated. The voice was calm, polite, yet something about it felt rehearsed. Wiping her hands on her apron, she walked out. Standing by the bamboo fence was an old man, maybe in his late 60s. His face was lined, his clothes clean but worn from travel. He carried a small bag and an umbrella that looked too new for his rough hands. "Yes, I'm Huyen," she said carefully. "Who are you?" The man smiled faintly. "Ah, I'm just an old neighbor from your hometown. I heard you moved here, so I wanted to visit. It's been a long time since I saw you." Huyen tried to recall his face, but no memory came. Still, her upbringing urged her to be polite. "Please, come in. The rain might fall again soon." Inside, the man sat quietly by the table, his eyes wandering around the room, too long, too curious. "You have a peaceful place here," he said. "And you live with your daughter?" Huyen nodded. "Yes, my daughter, Maya." He smiled again, that same distant smile. "And the man who stays here sometimes, is he your husband?" The question froze her. She placed the cup of tea down slowly. "Why do you ask that?" The man shrugged, his eyes glinting beneath the low light. "Oh, I just heard people talking at the market. A man named Day, right?" Bibi barked sharply from the doorway. The sound startled both of them. The man quickly stood up, pretending to look at the rain. "Ah, I didn't mean to intrude. I just wanted to greet you." He thanked her, bowed politely and left. But when Huyen followed him to close the gate, he was already gone, vanished down the muddy road, like a shadow swallowed by the fog. For a long time, Huyen stood there in the drizzle, the unease tightening in her chest. Something about the man's eyes too sharp, too knowing, told her this was no casual visit. And far away, Day's bus rolled on through the southern highway, unaware that behind him, a quiet danger had just found its way into the world he called home. That night, the rain came heavier than before. The roof rattled softly while Maya slept beside Bibi, her small hand resting on the dog's fur. Huyen sat by the dim oil lamp, her thoughts circling the strange man's visit. Who was he? His face meant nothing to her, yet his questions carried something sharp, like hidden glass beneath calm water. When Day left for the south that morning, everything had felt peaceful. Now, the air itself seemed different, heavier, as if the house had absorbed a secret it couldn't release. Outside, frogs croaked from the flooded fields. The moonlight struggled through the rain, painting faint lines across the bamboo walls. Suddenly, Bibi growled, low, deep. His fur rose as he turned toward the window. Huyen's breath caught. Slowly, she stood up, took the oil lamp, and walked closer. Raindrops slid down the glass, and behind them for a moment, she saw a shadow. Someone was standing by the fence, watching. Her heart thudded painfully. But when she stepped outside with the lamp, the shadow was gone. Only the sound of dripping rain remained. She shut the door tight, locked it, and whispered to herself, maybe it's just my imagination. Yet deep down, she knew it wasn't. That night, Huyen couldn't sleep. She sat by Maya's bed, listening to the wind and to Bibi's restless growls. Somewhere far away, Day was sleeping on the bus heading south, unaware that the peace he had left behind was slowly being swallowed by something dark, patient, and very close. The next morning arrived grey and heavy. The rain had not stopped. It whispered endlessly across the roof and soaked the garden outside. Huyen looked tired, her eyes swollen from a sleepless night. She stepped out to feed the chickens, but even their usual cheerful clucking felt subdued, cautious. Just as she was about to fetch water, the same old man appeared again at the gate. His raincoat clung to his thin shoulders, and his eyes, sharp and unreadable, fixed on her. "Good morning, Miss Huyen," he said softly, almost politely. "I forgot to tell you something yesterday." Huyen froze. "Oh, you came back? What is it you forgot?" He smiled faintly. "It's about Dee." Her heartbeat quickened. "What about him?" The man stepped closer, the rain dripping from his hat. "He didn't really go south to get a motorbike, did he? Do you know why he's truly gone there?" Huyen frowned, uneasy. "He told me it was for work." The man interrupted, his tone shifting. "No, it's not for work. He went to settle something. Something that could change your life too." Huyen stepped back, clutching the wooden gate. "Who are you? Why are you telling me this?" The man's smile faded. "Let's just say I knew Dee before you did. And I know his past, the one he never told you." For a moment the rain seemed to pause. Even Bibi stopped barking, sensing the tension thick in the air. Huyen's lips trembled. "You're lying." "Am I?" the man said quietly, his eyes dark. "Then tell me, Huyen, did Dee ever mention the woman he left behind in the south?" Huyen's face went pale. The air felt too thin to breathe. "I don't believe you," she whispered, almost to herself. "He wouldn't lie to me." But as the man turned away, his words lingered in the air like smoke, words that cut through her fragile calm. "Believe what you want, Huyen, but soon you'll see for yourself." And with that he disappeared into the curtain of rain, leaving Huyen standing alone by the gate, drenched and trembling, unsure if she was facing a lie or the beginning of a truth too painful to bear. The storm grew stronger that night. The wind howled against the bamboo walls, and the sky flashed with restless light. Inside the small house, Huyen sat by the dim oil lamp, her hands trembling as she held a letter the one Day had left tucked beneath the tea jar. She hadn't noticed it before. Now, in the flickering glow, she unfolded it slowly, her heart pounding. "Huyen, by the time you read this, I'll already be far on the road to the south. There are things I haven't told you, not because I wanted to hide them, but because I was afraid you'd be hurt. I once had a wife, long ago. We broke apart in anger and silence. When I left, she kept something of mine, something I need to bring closure to our past. That's why I must go there, not only for the motorbike, but to finally end what was left unfinished. Don't be afraid. I will come back. I'll return to you and Maya if you'll still have me. Take care of yourself and give Maya a kiss for me. Tell Bibi I'll bring him a new collar. D. Her tears fell, blurring the ink. The letter trembled in her hands. All the fear that had been building since the strange man's visit melted into grief, relief, and something deeper trust. D. She whispered through the sound of rain. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You didn't have to carry this alone. At that moment, Maya stirred from her bed. Mummy, is Uncle D coming home soon? Huyen wiped her eyes and smiled faintly, though her voice cracked. Yes, darling. He'll come home soon. He just has to finish something first. Outside, the rain began to soften, as if the sky itself was exhaling. The storm had passed, leaving only the quiet sound of water dripping from the roof. Huyen looked out the window. The small fence Dee had built still stood firm against the wind. In that fragile silence, she felt his presence everywhere. In the tools by the wall, in the fence by the river, in the warmth that still lingered in the house. And deep in her heart, she whispered not to the rain, but to the road that carried him away. Come home safe, Dee. Whatever darkness you face there, remember, we're waiting. The next morning, the clouds began to part. A thin ray of sunlight touched the muddy path leading south. And though Huyen did not know what day would find, she believed perhaps for the first time that love, no matter how long the road, would always find its way home. This story reminds us that love is not always peaceful or simple. It is often a journey through misunderstanding, fear, and the shadows of the past. Huyen and Dee's story shows that when we truly care for someone, we must learn to trust even in silence, to believe even when doubt tries to take root. Sometimes the people we love carry quiet burdens, memories they cannot yet share, wounds that time has not healed. It is easy to mistake their distance for deception or their silence for betrayal, but real love asks for patience to wait, to listen, and to understand before judging. The strange man's visit brought confusion and pain, but it also revealed something deeper, that truth always finds its way through the storm. Huyen's faith, though shaken, became stronger. Day's honesty, even in absence, built a bridge between their hearts that no rumor could destroy. From them, we learn that love is not proven in words, but in quiet acts of care, in building a fence to protect a child, in leaving a letter to ease a heart, in the promise to return. Life may bring storms, lies, and separations, but as long as we hold on to kindness and trust, the heart will always find its way home.